Ever caught your wife undressing by another man's pool? I have. Thought I had the perfect family, until my buddy dropped a bomb that changed everything. What followed? Surveillance cameras, anonymous letters, a revenge plan cold enough to make karma blush. She cheated, I stayed silent and took everything. The house, the kid, her reputation. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's how I burned their fairy tale to the ground and walked away smiling. You know how they say your gut never lies? Well, mine's been through enough buffet lunches and bad beer to know when something's off. And let me tell you, something was definitely off. I'm Danny, 36. I work the night shift at a steel plant in Ohio, where the machines scream louder than a mother-in-law on Thanksgiving, and the air smells like scorched ambition. Good money, long hours, nothing glamorous, but it keeps the lights on and the fridge full. I always say, it ain't a job for soft hands or soft hearts. Now my wife, Samantha, she was a different breed. She worked at a dental office, all smiles and minty fresh lies. She used to say she loved the way I smelled after a shift. Like fire and manhood, she'd giggle. Looking back, that was probably the scent of someone else's cologne. Anyway, last Tuesday night, I was on my lunch break at 2 a.m., sitting on an overturned bucket, working my way through a cold meatball sub when my buddy Chuck slides up beside me. Chuck's been with the plant 22 years, got hands like tree bark and a face like a gravel driveway. Good man. Says what he means, doesn't smile unless someone loses a finger. He looks at me, all serious, and says, "Hey, Dan, I wasn't going to say anything, but I saw something the other night you probably ought to know." Now that's how you start a horror story for blue-collar folks. I set my sandwich down real slow. "All right, hit me. What'd you see?" He shifts uncomfortably, like his overalls suddenly started itching. "I was at Red's Tavern on Friday. Don't look at me like that. I was just picking up a to-go order, and I saw Samantha with some dude, and she wasn't exactly treating her hygienist boss, if you catch my drift." At first, I laughed, because denial comes free with every marriage license. "Chuck," I said, wiping hot sauce off my lip, "you sure it was her?" "Danny, I ain't blind and I ain't stupid. She was in that red leather jacket she loves so much. You know, the one that makes her look like the final boss of a mall." He wasn't wrong. "And this guy," he went on, "he looked like he moisturizes and makes TikToks about protein powder. Some slick-haired dude. They were laughing, touching arms, sitting real close. She kissed him when they left. Not cheek, lips." Now, let me be clear. I'm not a guy who jumps to conclusions. I'm a guy who jumps off ladders to beat a fire deadline. But right then, the gears in my head started turning louder than the steel rollers behind us. And the thing is, it wasn't just Chuck's story. The signs had been there. Little things. Like how she suddenly had 2 yoga classes a week, but no soreness afterward. Or how she started wearing perfume again, to bed. Or how she set her phone face down, like it was hiding state secrets. Still, I wanted to believe Chuck was wrong. That maybe Samantha had a twin I didn't know about, or a clone. Hell, maybe I was the side guy and didn't realize it. I went back to work that night, but the molten metal wasn't the only thing boiling. Every time I pulled the lever on the ladle crane, I imagined it was that guy's stupid protein powder face I was pouring on. By the end of the shift, I had a plan. I wasn't going to yell, I wasn't going to cry. I sure as hell wasn't going to confront her in some dramatic soap opera scene. Nah, I was gonna play it smart, real smart. So, I went home, gave her a kiss on the cheek, and asked if she wanted breakfast. She smiled, said she was tired from yoga, and went to shower. That was the last normal morning we had. and the beginning of the end. So there she was, singing in the shower like her conscience had just been bleached clean. Bubbly, off-key, and not a care in the world. Meanwhile, I'm in the kitchen, trying not to pace like a man with a toothache and no insurance. I poured myself a cup of burnt coffee, set it on the counter, and stared at her phone sitting face down on the kitchen island, just sitting there like a little plastic liar. Now, I ain't proud of what I did next, but I also ain't ashamed. A man's got instincts for a reason. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and picked up the phone like it was a snake that might bite me or confess. I tapped it. Locked. I tried her birthday. Nope. I tried my birthday. Double nope. I even tried our anniversary, which I remembered specifically because she framed the damn receipt from our first date. Still nothing. Whatever code she had, it wasn't anything sentimental. Probably the dude's gym PR or something. So I tried to open the camera app from the lock screen. Couldn't even get that. She had her phone locked down tighter than a nun's diary. That told me more than anything. If she wasn't hiding something, she sure as hell wanted me to think she was. I set it back down exactly how I found it. Screen down, 1/2 centimeter from the fruit bowl, angled just right. You'd think I was defusing a bomb. A few minutes later, she came out of the bathroom smelling like coconut betrayal. Hair wrapped in a towel like a turban of deceit, towel clinging like it was on her side of this conspiracy. I plastered on my best smile. "Morning, babe. You want a drink? I could make us those mimosas you like, or Irish coffee if we're feeling frisky." She smiled, but not the kind that reaches the eyes. More like a customer service smile. "That's sweet, but I actually have plans today." Plans? A married woman saying she has plans on a random Wednesday morning and not telling you what they are? That ain't plans. I gave her a little nod, like I didn't just hear the bells of war ringing in my ears. "Oh yeah," I asked, casually rinsing out my mug. "What you up to?" She hesitated, just for a second, but it was long enough for the truth to sprint past the starting line. "Just stuff, errands." "Cool, cool. Need me to pick anything up later?" "Nope." She kissed my cheek. "I'll probably be out most of the day." Bingo. I smiled, wiped my hands on the towel again, and watched her disappear into the bedroom to get dressed. That was the moment I knew. I had a window. A small one, probably the size of a squirrel hole, but it was my shot. If she was going to meet this mystery man, today was the day, and I was going to find out everything. I didn't need her phone anymore. I had Chuck. I had a pickup truck with a full tank of gas, and I had nothing left to lose. Now, I've seen enough crime dramas to know how a tail job's supposed to go. Keep 2 cars between you, don't act suspicious, sunglasses help. But the problem is, I drive a 2002 Chevy Silverado with a dent in the side big enough to qualify for FEMA aid. You can spot it from a mile away, and that's on a cloudy night. Still, I figured I had a shot. Samantha wasn't exactly trained by the CIA. She was more Real Housewives than Jason Bourne. She left around 10 a.m., dressed casual but cute. Yoga pants, denim jacket, too much perfume. That I'm just running errands look with a little extra effort sprinkled on top. And she took her car, thank God, easier to track. Or so I thought. I gave her a 5-minute head start. Then I hopped in the Silverado, turned the ignition, which made a noise like a dying walrus, and eased out onto the road, following the familiar sound of disappointment echoing in my muffler. At first, everything went smooth. She turned onto Route 17, headed toward the edge of town. I stayed 3 cars back, acting casual, like I was just a regular workin' stiff out for coffee and heartbreak. But then we hit a red light near Maplewood, and I got stuck behind some dude hauling scrap metal at the speed of might die today. By the time I made it through the intersection, her little blue Mazda was gone, vanished, like she dipped into another dimension, one where wives don't lie and pizza doesn't have calories. I circled the block twice. Nothing. Pulled into a gas station, pretended to check my tires while scanning the area like a nervous squirrel. Still, nothing. That sinking feeling hit me right in the gut. The one that says, "You just blew your shot, dummy." I was about to head home, regroup, and curse the scrap metal guy's entire family tree when my phone buzzed. Chuck. I answered on the first ring. "Danny," he said, voice low like he was reporting from the front lines of a war. "You're not gonna believe this." "I probably will, but hit me." "I just saw your wife." I blinked. "Come again?" "I'm over by Ridgeview Heights. I'm helping my cousin install a ceiling fan. You know, the one that's allergic to ladders and common sense. Anyway, I took a smoke break, walked out front, and bam, there she is, walking up to this whitened brick house with flower pots that probably cost more than my truck." "Are you sure it's her?" I asked, trying not to sound like a guy halfway to losing his marriage and his mind. "Positive. Red jacket, same hair, same walk. She even did that little phone check she always does, like she's too busy to be seen. She looked around first, real sneaky-like." My pulse kicked up. "Send me the address." "Already done." I checked my phone. There it was. 1846 Pecan Ridge Drive. Not her friend's house, not her cousin's place, just some random upscale neighborhood where the driveways are longer than my patience. I fired up the Silverado, tossed the rest of my coffee out the window, and muttered to myself, "All right, Samantha, let's see what kind of errands you're really running." I don't remember the whole drive to Pecan Ridge. Just flashes, white lines blurring by, my hands gripping the steering wheel like it owed me money. I didn't even turn on the radio, didn't need to. My brain was already blaring one hell of a soundtrack, rage, betrayal, and something that sounded suspiciously like country music played backward, where the guy loses his wife and his truck. When I pulled onto the street, Chuck was already there, leaning against his rust-colored Dodge Ram, cigarette dangling from his mouth like he was the sheriff in a bad western. "She's out back," he said, nodding toward the corner house. "Big place. Backyard faced the woods. Privacy fence, but not high enough to keep out 2 steel workers with 5-day stubble and a grudge." "You sure?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer. He didn't say anything, just pointed. So we crept around the side, sticking close to the fence line, quiet as factory ghosts. I felt ridiculous and furious all at once, like some backyard peeping Tom with emotional damage. But then, we found the spot, a small knothole in the fence. Chuck peeked first, then winced like he'd just swallowed a nail. I didn't ask. I looked. And there she was, Samantha, my wife, by the pool, undressing. Let me be clear. This wasn't changing into a swimsuit while blocking the view with a towel. No, this was a slow, intimate strip down. Jacket, shirt, pants, all coming off one by one, like she was starring in a commercial for infidelity. And there he was, lounging poolside like some Abercrombie knockoff, drink in hand, sunglasses on, like the smug bastard ordered her from a catalog. She slid into the pool in her underwear, not a bathing suit, and swam up to him. He leaned down, kissed her, full on the mouth. Right then, my vision went red. I stood up, too fast, hands shaking, heart pounding like a drum in a biker bar. I didn't care about the plan, didn't care about evidence. I just wanted to end that man, break every smug tooth in his face, send him home with a steel toe print across his ribs. Chuck grabbed my arm before I even took the first step. "Danny, don't," I growled. "No. I swear to God. Look at me." He turned me around, eyes hard. "You go over that fence, you ain't gonna stop. And I ain't letting you throw your whole damn life away for this discount Casanova." I yanked my arm, but he held tight. "You kill him, she wins," he said, voice low. "She gets to be the victim. You get a jumpsuit. Your daughter gets weekly prison visits. You want to give her that?" And that's when the rage cracked, just a little, and the weight of it all hit me. He was right. Damn it, he was right. I wasn't just angry, I was hurt. I felt like someone had taken a crowbar to my chest and pried it open. So I stood there, fists clenched, watching the woman I gave everything to float across the water like her vows were written in disappearing ink. "I'm not gonna kill him," I muttered. "Good," Chuck said, finally letting go of my arm. "So, what are you gonna do?" I looked through that knot in the fence one last time, and I said, "I'm gonna ruin their little fairy tale." We left Pekin Ridge without a word. No punches thrown, no shouting match, no awkward naked exit through a pool fence, which, frankly, was a miracle considering what I just witnessed. Chuck and I drove in silence for about 10 minutes before I pulled into Rusty's tap room. The kind of bar where the floor sticks to your boots, the jukebox only plays Skynyrd, and the bartender doesn't ask questions unless someone's bleeding. We took a booth in the back, far from the two old guys arguing over pool and the one guy sleeping upright at the bar like a forgotten mannequin. The waitress dropped off 2 beers with the grace of a veteran who'd seen 1,000 heartbreaks and didn't care about any of them. We sat there for a minute, the foam settling in our glasses and in my chest. I didn't even know where to start. Chuck finally spoke. "You sure you don't want to just walk away clean?" I stared at the bubbles in my beer. "Chuck, I walked away clean the first 10 times I had a gut feeling and ignored it. I smiled when she said she was tired. I kissed her goodbye while she lied to my face. I've already walked away clean, and look what it got me." He nodded slowly. "Fair." I took a long pull from the bottle, wiped my mouth, and said, "We're gonna make this hard for her. For him. But we're not gonna get caught. No cops, no mugshots, no Lifetime original movie ending. Just cold, calculated karma." Chuck leaned back, arms crossed. "All right, I'm listening." Now, I'm no evil genius, but when your life's been reduced to shift work, betrayal, and gas station coffee, your brain gets real creative out of sheer spite. So, I started laying it out. Phase 1. Leverage. Chuck still had a buddy who did home security installs, real discreet-like. He'd set up a pinhole camera near the backyard fence. We'd get footage, clear as day. Just enough to confirm everything. I wasn't planning on blackmail. I just wanted proof. Ammo for when the real games began. Phase 2. Exposure. Samantha's job at the dental office? Turns out her boss was also her cousin. Real small-town stuff. He was a stickler for reputation. One anonymous tip with photo evidence of inappropriate behavior during work hours, and she'd be out faster than a kid caught stealing from the cash drawer. Phase 3. The side guy. Pretty boy pool boy. let's call him Travis, because of course his name is Travis, was apparently married. Chuck did a little recon, and by recon I mean Facebook stalking over a few more beers, and found Travis's wife, high school sweetheart, 2 kids, church choir, the whole live, laugh, love starter pack. Oh, and she had no clue. "You gonna tell her?" Chuck asked, raising an eyebrow. I smirked. No. She's gonna find out the same way I did. Courtesy of Chuck Express Surveillance Services, now with HD. Chuck laughed, but there was a seriousness behind it. "You sure you can pull this off without going full psycho?" "Chuck," I said, tapping my bottle to his, "I don't need to slash tires or swing fists. I just need to shine a spotlight on the roaches." We clinked bottles. Then Chuck leaned in, voice low. "You ever think she'll apologize?" I stared at the old neon beer sign across the room. "I don't need an apology." "What do you need?" I drained the rest of my beer. "I need her to wish she never met me." We left Pekin Ridge without a word. No punches thrown, no shouting match, no awkward naked exit through a pool fence, which, frankly, was a miracle considering what I just witnessed. Chuck and I drove in silence for about 10 minutes before I pulled into Rusty's tap room, the kind of bar where the floor sticks to your boots, the jukebox only plays Skynyrd, and the bartender doesn't ask questions unless someone's bleeding. We took a booth in the back, far from the 2 old guys arguing over pool and the one guy sleeping upright at the bar like a forgotten mannequin. The waitress dropped off 2 beers, with the grace of a veteran who'd seen 1,000 heartbreaks and didn't care about any of them. We sat there for a minute, the foam settling in our glasses and in my chest. I didn't even know where to start. Chuck finally spoke. "You sure you don't want to just walk away clean?" I stared at the bubbles in my beer. "Chuck, I walked away clean the first 10 times I had a gut feeling and ignored it. I smiled when she said she was tired. I kissed a goodbye while she lied to my face. I've already walked away clean, and look what it got me." He nodded slowly. "Fair." I took a long pull from the bottle, wiped my mouth, and said, "We're gonna make this hard for her, for him. But we're not gonna get caught. No cops, no mugshots, no Lifetime original movie ending. Just cold, calculated karma." Chuck leaned back, arms crossed. "All right, I'm listening." Now, I'm no evil genius, but when your life's been reduced to shift work, betrayal, and gas station coffee, your brain gets real creative out of sheer spite. So, I started laying it out. Phase 1, leverage. Chuck still had a buddy who did home security installs, real discreet-like. He'd set up a pinhole camera near the backyard fence. We'd get footage, clear as day. Just enough to confirm everything. I wasn't planning on blackmail. I just wanted proof, ammo for when the real games began. Phase 2, exposure. Samantha's job at the dental office. Turns out, her boss was also her cousin. Real small-town stuff. He was a stickler for reputation. One anonymous tip with photo evidence of inappropriate behavior during work hours, and she'd be out faster than a kid caught stealing from the cash drawer. Phase 3, the side guy. Pretty boy pool boy, let's call him Travis, because of course his name is Travis, was apparently married. Chuck did a little recon, and by recon, I mean Facebook stalking over a few more beers, and found Travis's wife. High school sweetheart, 2 kids, church choir, the whole live, laugh, love starter pack. Oh, and she had no clue. "You're gonna tell her?" Chuck asked, raising an eyebrow. I smirked. "No,
She's gonna find out the same way I did. Courtesy of Chuck Express Surveillance Services, now with HD. Chuck laughed, but there was a seriousness behind it. You sure you can pull this off without going full psycho? Chuck, I said, tapping my bottle to his. I don't need to slash tires or swing fists. I just need to shine a spotlight on the roaches. We clinked bottles. Then Chuck leaned in, voice low. You ever think she'll apologize? I stared at the old neon beer sign across the room. I don't need an apology. What do you need? I drained the rest of my beer. I need her to wish she never met me.
2 days later, Chuck and I were parked a block away from 1846 Pecan Ridge in his truck. Not my Silverado. It's too damn loud and too damn recognizable. His Ram at least didn't sound like it was gargling screws every time it turned left. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow on the house where my wife's self-respect went to die. We were waiting for the green light from Chuck's buddy Marty, who showed up earlier in the day posing as a lawn care consultant. Guy had a polo shirt, clipboard, and more cable ties in his backpack than a serial killer. He installed a button-sized HD camera right into a wooden bird feeder aimed at the pool. Motion activated, night vision capable. No blinking lights, no sound, just cold, quiet surveillance. By 6 p.m., it was already paying off. Chuck's burner phone dinged, motion triggered. He clicked the live feed. There she was, Samantha, red jacket, same damn smug smile, poolside again. And Travis, shirtless of course, wearing shorts that probably had fewer brain cells than his Wi-Fi password. They laughed, kissed, clinked drinks. Chuck didn't say a word, just turned the phone toward me. I watched for 10 seconds, then looked away. Get the clips ready, I said. We're going live tomorrow. Phase 1, her job. Next morning, Chuck and I printed out a few frames. Nothing pornographic, just damning. Her kissing a man who clearly wasn't her husband. Time-stamped, dated. We slipped it into an unmarked envelope with a short typed message. Thought your dental hygienist might want to keep her hands and mouth to herself. Ask her if she remembers Thursday at 6:02 p.m. by the pool. Chuck walked into the dental office like a patient needing a cleaning. Slipped the envelope under the office door on his way out. In and out in 20 seconds, smooth as butter on a hot grill. We didn't have to wait long. By noon, Samantha called me. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, a text. Danny, I think someone's been spying on me. I need to talk to you. Something weird happened at work. Please call me. I didn't reply. Chuck smiled. That's a bingo. Phase 2, Mr. Travis and his wife. Travis's wife, Rachel, was a school teacher. Her Facebook was full of "my boys are my world" posts and inspirational quotes about loyalty, which made me want to puke, but also made this whole thing sting even more. We printed the same set of pictures, plus a few of Samantha in her lacy black underwear, which she changed into, poolside, like they were on honeymoon. Those went into an envelope with a handwritten note. Your husband isn't working late. Ask him where he was last Thursday. You deserve the truth. From someone who knows. We mailed it. No fingerprints, no return address. Just truth wrapped in heartbreak and postage. Phase 3, the accidental run-in. Friday afternoon, Samantha came home early. Hair a mess, eyes red. I was in the garage, sanding a broken stool because I needed to keep my hands busy or start breaking things that weren't furniture. She came out to me like she was approaching a parole officer. Danny. I didn't look at her. She swallowed hard. Someone sent something to my office. Photos. Of me. With a friend. A friend? I asked, still sanding. Yes, it wasn't what it looked like. I stopped, turned, gave her the stare that makes grown men rethink their life insurance policies. She blinked, opened her mouth, closed it. I didn't wait. I hope he was worth it. I hope the sex was life-changing. Because everything else, your job, your reputation, your marriage, that's all circling the drain. I was confused, Danny. It just happened. Funny, I said, turning back to the stool. Because my love for you didn't just happen. It took years, loyalty, patience, and you torched it in a swimsuit. She started to cry. Not real tears, crocodile stuff, like she was trying to win a soap opera Emmy. Then came the real kicker. Travis pulled up in his glossy black SUV, the kind of car that screams, "I finance my self-esteem." He got out, looking irritated. "What the hell did you do?" he snapped at her. Apparently, Rachel, the loyal, church-going wife, had kicked him out and taken the kids, with cause. "You said this would blow over," he growled. "Now I'm sleeping on a friend's futon and my wife changed the locks." "Maybe," I said. "You two can get a pool house together. Seems fitting." They both glared at me like I'd ruined their lives. And maybe I did. But the truth? They handed me the matches. I just lit the fire. 3 weeks after the divorce papers were signed, I found myself back at Rusty's taproom. Same sticky booth, same lukewarm beer, same Chuck across from me with his eternal scowl and flannel that hadn't seen detergent since Thanksgiving. The dust had settled. Ellie was back to giggling at cartoons and asking when I'd take her to the zoo again. The house felt less haunted. Even the dogs seemed to relax, probably relieved the scent of drama had finally cleared out. But one thing still bugged me. It scratched at the back of my brain like a loose nail in a boot. So I looked up from my beer and asked Chuck point blank. "Be honest with me, man. You were always around. You saw me with Samantha. How the hell did I not see this coming?" Chuck didn't answer right away. He just took a slow sip, stared off like he was watching a war movie in his head. Then he said, "You really want the truth? Lay it on me." Chuck leaned forward, set his bottle down with a thud. "Danny, you were led by the damn nose." I blanked. "Excuse me?" "I mean it," he said, "like a prize bull. Every time she tugged, you followed. You ever notice that you stopped hanging out unless she approved first? Or how you'd check your phone every 10 minutes, like she was your parole officer?" I didn't say anything, mostly because he wasn't wrong. She didn't scream at you or throw fits. She just steered you. Little comments, snide remarks, guilt trips, and cute packaging. I shifted in my seat. Chuck wasn't being cruel. He was being honest. The kind of honesty that tastes worse than warm beer and medicine mixed together. "You remember that time we had tickets to that Browns game?" he asked. "Yeah, she said her cousin was in town and wanted to do dinner." Chuck raised his eyebrows. "You realize that same cousin had already been there 2 weeks earlier for her birthday?" I frowned. "Wait, no, that's not—" "It is." I sat back, blinking. "I didn't even remember that." "Of course you didn't, because you trusted her. You bent every time she leaned. And don't get me wrong, Danny, that's what love does to a man. But Samantha, she wasn't loving you. She was managing you." The words hit hard, like a steel beam across the chest. Chuck went on, a little softer now. "Look, we all thought she was too polished for you, but we figured, hey, maybe she's different behind closed doors. Turns out, she was, just not in the way we hoped." I stared into my bottle like it could erase time. "Why didn't you say something?" "Because you were happy,
And a man's gotta figure out his own fires sometimes. No one listens while the house is still standing. It's only when it burns down that they start smelling the smoke. I didn't have a combat for that, just nodded. He finished his beer and stood up, tossing a few bills on the table. But you figured it out. You handled your business. And now you're standing on your own ashes, taller than ever. Just don't let another one steer you without a damn map. I cracked a smile. What if I just stay single? Chuck grinned. Even better. More time for beer and football. He clapped me on the shoulder and walked off. And I sat there, beer in hand, thinking about how sometimes your best friend doesn't need to save you from the fire. He just waits on the other side, ready with a cold drink and a hard truth.